All right. So as we discussed in the last one, I'm going to do another open counseling session today. And again, same guidelines. First is whenever you have to ask a question, for that at least you have to come online on the video. Otherwise, we won't be taking the question. Second, whatever you ask, please make sure that you only include enough details which you are okay with basically being publicized, because these videos will be shared ultimately on social media. So yeah, I mean, just remember that part. And of course, as we conduct this session, I will be taking short breaks while I'll take answers from other people, so they can also say. So this like a truly open counseling session, okay? So yeah, and any question is welcome as long as it's related to life problems. I can't solve other problems. I'm not, so my area is very limited. So as long as it's related to life, I will have something to say, okay? And the format will be similar. Just raise your hand on the app and I will unmute you and ask the question. So if you have raised your hands for the previous question, you can actually uh, put it down and then raise your hand again, only if you have a question to ask now. So now I'm going to go, okay, so Vidya has raised the hand. Vidya, is that for a question? Yeah, all right. So I'm going to unmute you, Vidya.
Okay, so as a psychologist, what are your recommendations of must-read books for everyone to understand about ourselves, others, and which helps in understanding relationship better and parenting? Like, I would like book recommendations from you.
Oh, that's great, actually. So there are multiple. In fact, I am bad with remembering titles, but I'll try to remember some authors, which I really, so you can look into them, okay? So I'll try to tell you some authors which you should follow. For general worldview, so there is a psychologist, okay, so this is my all-time favorite, this psychologist, and this is not typically just for life issues, for general worldview, right? So he's a psychologist from Harvard, and I think MIT also, like he's worked both of theirs. The name is Steven Pinker. So his book is Enlightenment Now. In fact, some of my core theories about humanism, they have been kind of refined by his work also. So Steven Pinker is one for the general worldview. And for psychology part, for relationships, if you want to follow, there is this author called John Gottman. So these are amazing researchers. They've done amazing work on relationships. And I think the book's name is Seven Principles to Make Marriage Work. Okay. And I think there are some newer books too. So John John Gottman, Gottman, John Gottman, you can follow that guy. Then I think he has also a book with Daniel Goleman. He has a book on parenting as well, how to raise emotionally intelligent children. So that's for parenting. That's actually a really good one, because in that, the whole how to respond to them and what to do when your child is really angry or showing any negative emotions, or in fact positive also. So that's a really good book there. And in general, I follow some philosophers also, or just general public thinkers. There is Sam Harris. You must have heard of this one. Like some of his tips are actually really good, not all of it. Jordan Peterson, some of you might have heard him because he has now become very popular.
Yeah,
So
12 rules of
yeah, 12 rules of, yeah. So his overall worldview is actually good. So it's like if you listen to him about, in fact, he has some great tips on parenting as well. So you can follow him. And if you go to completely typical psychology, then you can just take any psychology 101 book. But those are not usually interesting books, but they of course give you this academic. So I think Morgan and King, that's like one of the famous books for psychology, like 101, like when you start. So it gives you a great intro. So yeah, I mean, these are some of the recommendations. Of course, there are more. I can't think of them right now because, yeah, I'm just bad with titles. Okay.
Okay. Just if you could ask Rishabh to type the spelling of the authors, it would be helpful for everybody. Maybe later in the session too.
Yeah. Maybe Rishabh, you can type them. Yeah. And
Okay.
by the
Thank
way,
you. Thank you so much.
yeah, and Rishabh will also be with me here moderating this. So he's my brother and a fellow psychologist in our organization. So yeah.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Now, next I'll go to Seema.
My question is related to my son. He is 8 years old.
8 years old.
I yes, I want to know like how to train kids to handle their emotions of fear, anxiety, because sometimes when they are in fear, we don't have much words to explain them. Like what should we say? Because I myself am not that strong emotionally. So can you help me with some like what should we say them in that case if they
Could you
are
give
in
us an
some
example of what he gets anxious about, what he gets
can you
fearful
just
about?
go? Uh, like many things, like suppose if he's playing football with someone and if he loses the game, he take it to heart and he doesn't want to go to football to play because he loses. So at that time I tell him, I motivate him that winning and losing is not important, important is playing. But he is very like he take it to heart, and sometimes he does this eyes movement. It is related to neurolog, they say that because of stress he is doing those eyes movements, like the eyeballs are moving here and there whenever he's stressed. So I don't know, he's very intelligent but he doesn't want to listen no from anybody, or like he doesn't want to get like rejected, or he doesn't want to like lose the game. So in
Okay,
that
okay.
case how to?
So that's one, right? Like not wanting to lose and not taking a no also. Any other example of fear or anxiety? Because this is slightly different, but yeah, related obviously. Any other example where you felt that, okay, what do I say to my kid here?
Yeah, like once his father was driving a car and by accidentally he hit someone and the police was there. So he started crying. Like at that moment, even I was scared. So how do I react to my son that please don't feel scared. It all will be okay. Like a police, if he sees a police, he's getting scared. Or sometimes he have this fear that I will lose my parents in accident. I don't know from where he have got this fear, that maybe some movie or something or some friends have told him, but nothing is clear like what is the reason he is fear. So in that case how to like explain him that it's okay, like we are here for you?
So we have kind of two questions here. One was about the losing part. The child is not able to take defeat
Yeah,
or
he is
any
not able
no
to
rejection.
accept that he is losing the game.
Yeah,
He is
and
taking to
this.
heart.
Okay, and the second one is around the genuine fear of like what will happen, like whether it's the police or like just the general for your well-being, like okay, what will happen to my mother and father, right? So
Yes,
that kind
correct.
of fear as well. All right, let me just go off for a couple of minutes, and I'm gonna. So anybody who wants to answer that question, please write something in the chat, and maybe Rishabh will then unmute you because your hands are raised for the question. So I don't want you to raise hands for this. Just write something in the chat if you have something to offer here. And Rishabh, you can also read out the chat, whatever answers come in. Okay. So
Sure.
yeah, I'll be back in a minute or so.
Okay. So I hope everyone heard the query, the question, the anxious question by a parent about an anxious kid. So if anyone can give their inputs. Okay. Okay. We have a response from Monisha. I feel when a person is not calm and you tell them to be calm, it's just going to make it worse. Okay. So don't tell them to be calm. Act is better. Okay. Act upon something rather than reacting upon something. Okay. That's one. Seema, how old is your child?
My son is 8.5, like he will
Eight,
be 9 in December.
8.5. Okay.
Here, he have also here the school also have the complaint that he is very hyperactive, like all time moving, fidgeting. So
Okay.
that I have considered.
I'll basically say 2 to 3 points here for the answer. First one is you have to understand that anxiety and just a worrying part, that's actually pretty biological. So a little bit of difference will always be there. So your child, so like you said something that I'm also a bit anxious, right? So when you're anxious, it's also very difficult for you to calm anybody else down. So and this is why I said it's biological, because it's genetic also. So if one parent is temperamentally very anxious, and then it's the likelihood is high that something can pass on to the child. So one is biological, and that's why you should be okay. You should just understand that it will never always be like the, you know what, the ideal scenario. Ideal in the sense ki if you just start comparing it to any average other kid, it could always be different. So that's one. Now what do you do in that moment, right? That's the main question. How do you talk to the child? So usually in those moments, your first goal must be to be like a journalist, right? To be like, I just have to understand here. So often, when the child is emotional, parents get into the mode that, okay, what do I do? What do I say? How do I advise the child? How do I fix it? And that's actually not the first need at all. The first need is usually to just create the environment where the child can talk and you can understand. Because just because it's your child does not mean that you see them from a distance crying or being anxious, that you fully understand them. Like you said, the child is worried about the fact that mom and dad can get into an accident, something will happen to them. Now you don't understand why, right? Where did that really come from? So in general, uh, ask the why questions. Okay, why do you think like that? Okay, and try to specify it more often. uh, Basically, if you help the child clarify what they are thinking through your questions, you're helping both of yourselves. First, you're helping yourself understand them better, and you're helping the child understand themselves better, because even they don't know what's going through. So if you give them that space to talk, and if you try to summarize them, then they also in the long run become emotionally intelligent. And sometimes this technique is called naming the emotion. Okay, and in fact, the book that I was mentioning, How to Raise an Emotionally Intelligent Child, these techniques are mentioned there in detail. So the idea there is, okay, whenever a child is going through that, you try to talk to them about, okay, what are you exactly feeling? Oh, so you're feeling really angry or anxious or worried. So now the child can give some label to their experience. So now they know, okay, I'm here. Now they're oriented. And when you have a discussion on that emotion in future, whenever you name that emotion again, they, oh, you know what, I'm anxious again, and last time when I was anxious, I did such and such things, I thought like that. And anxiety is not that big of a thing. So trying to describe their experience is actually the first need, and for you to understand their experience. Okay, and then when that happens, whenever you feel like teaching something to the child, hold yourself, right? Because so many times children don't really need your wisdom, because they already know your answers. They already know what you're going to say anyway. Okay, things are going to be fine and such and such. So try to ask them, what do they think the solution should be? How do, okay, what do they think their rational perspective is? Okay, so so many times if you simply ask the child, okay, what do you think we should do now, right? Okay, what's the solution? That's it. The child will stop, think, I don't know, they might run away, but sometimes they'll actually think and come up with a solution that's just as good or better than yours. And you would be surprised, oh, my child, okay, they said something so intelligent. I did not know my child was so wise. And parents keep telling me, whenever I ask parents to just ask the children some questions, they're always surprised. Oh, I did not know my child already knew this. Then what was the point? So during those emotional states, some of these things, like this is the overall view of, first accept that it's always going to be there. Second, try to understand them and describe the experience better and better. And third, ask them the solution. Okay, how do we get out of this? And it's like you can ask them the simple question, okay, beta, what if your friend was going through this, what would you tell them, right? So if you ask them something like, if I was going through this, how would you advise me? So then the child thinks, they have to think, right? And that's what actually really makes them stronger. And finally, once you've had all of this discussion, then at the end, you can of course offer your advice, your guidelines, and that's fine. But don't do that just going in. And if you think about this actually makes your job easier, doesn't it? Because now you just have to ask questions. You don't really have to think about the right thing to say. So it's a win-win. Okay. Yeah. So these were some
So
of
the
the.
second question, like how to make him accept his losing, like the game or anything, whatever he's playing. If he's losing, like he's taking to heart. So it's
Yeah, yeah.
difficult for me to make him play with the group because they like he's getting sad, upset. So it won't be easy for me to send him to the classes where he's getting this emotion of sadness with him.
Yeah. Now, this is a slightly different problem. And here, see, for your child, and just like many different children, it's like they're also playing the game of status and winning and hierarchy. So it's like they also want to move ahead. They're also competitive by nature. It's not like they're only competitive. They have many other traits in them, and competitiveness is one of them, right? So losing inherently feels bad. And by the way, many children go through this. Just to, in fact, even in my own personal practice, I've seen many parents come up with similar problems. How children would completely break down, right? And in fact, they would start fighting with other people if they lose. It's like because they can't accept it, right? And they would avoid the game altogether. So, like it can happen in extreme also. So for this, first of all, remember that there is no quick short-term solution. Okay, if you think that you can do something in the moment to completely fix the child, it probably won't happen. It's ultimately going to happen through reflection only, which is key. Gradually the child will be able to see, develop the wider perspectives, which is what is the utility of playing the game, what are the different benefits. Winning is not just the only benefit. Other benefits are, let's say, keeping good health, making new friends, having some enjoyment. So there are multiple benefits to playing the game, right? And you have to instill the wider perspectives, like why do we play the game. And so the thing is, uh, you have to kind of be the counselor to your own child and sit down with the child and ask the question like this. So, okay, you lost the game, and now you're really angry. Okay, why are you angry? Okay, so what is the negative consequence here? Okay, what is the harm here? Why do you feel so bad right now? And then let the child think. Then the child might say something like, you know what, now I'm embarrassed. Now other people might think I'm a loser, or I have a reputation to uphold. So you have to get multiple levels deeper, understanding where is that emotion coming from, because behind those emotions there are known or unknown thoughts or belief systems in your child. And first you have to understand them. Okay, where is it coming from? Why is he taking this so seriously? And then you can have develop conversation and give him different perspectives. Oh, and now you're worried about others' reputation. Then you can give him perspective like, you know what, others also lose. What do you think of them? Right? You don't think badly of them, right? And if they thought badly of them, if they thought badly of you, but they are still playing with you, right? It means they still consider you as a friend. So you then start to question his perspectives, question his beliefs, and gradually he starts to see it from different angles. Okay, so first understand where it's coming from, and then give him the wiser perspectives. Okay, because usually just giving them, you know what, it does not matter, and just giving them generic advice won't work, because their real deep down fears, their real insecurities are still unaddressed. So you have to address them. Okay, all right. And of course, if it gets too complicated, too serious, you can always consult a psychologist. You can come to us.
Yeah,
And
but
then
yeah,
a
the
counselor.
important part is like
Yeah.
parent have to work more than the child. So yes,
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes parents are unable to do that, and then they have to leave the task to a counselor to fully understand where the child is coming from. But of course, the best thing is if you can do it, nothing like it. But if you can't, then maybe somebody else can do that, right? So,
yeah, very true.
all right. Next, I'll go to Monisha.
Yeah. Hi, Shridhar.
Hi.
So, as a psychologist, what are the different mental barriers that you've come across people have, especially those who are trying to lose weight?
Oh, actually, now I'll be honest here. I have not personally dealt with those clients a lot, because losing weight. But of course, I have dealt with people who have had the problem, but it wasn't probably the main. But yes, but it's a good question. It's a different question. So, when you say mental barriers, you mean to say things that stop them from taking an action?
Yeah, things sort of they are holding back. Like just to give you an example, so somebody who doesn't want to earn, of course, it's a totally different example. Somebody who doesn't want to earn a lot of money, somebody who's not very ambitious. So if you were to sort of, go deep down, the person would probably have this wrong belief that if you have a lot of money, you're a bad person. Generally, that's the kind of way a lot of us have faced us up, while we were being raised. So, like such mental barriers is what I'm looking at. What could have caused a particular person not to take an action? Of course, this is right, this is supposed to be there. But still, what are those things which are probably underlying, at the subconscious level, which are holding a person to make that move forward?
Okay, okay. So, you know what? This is a good time to actually truly utilize the open counseling format. So,
Mm-hmm.
so everybody here must have a kind of at least thought about getting fitter, losing weight, and just we all think about that, right? And we all have our own mental barriers. So, let's see what other people have, what other barriers other people have or have had in the past. So please write them in the chat. And if you want to say something, then of course, Rishabh can unmute you also. Okay. So please write your mental barriers. What keeps you from taking action? And let's, in this context about your health. Okay. What stops you? So, yeah. Somebody wrote laziness. I think laziness is definitely just the way we are. But I think we are looking at mental barriers, like psychologically, what do you say to yourself which stops you from doing something, right? And you kind of justify not taking an action. You kind of give yourself reasons. You know what? Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like I can give you another example. So there was this another person I was talking to this about. So this thing came up where this person was trying to, rebel. So the interesting thing that we came upon was her family wanted her to get fit, and she, as a kid, she had some issues with her parents, and just because they want her to get fit, she wants to make sure she will not get fit. So the barrier is she over here in this case is it's not that she's lazy or she lacks consistency. See, these are all let's say on the superficial aspect. Now she needs, so the moment you sort of get that part clear, that if she's sort of rebelling against her parents, it's not actually the parents. It's actually it's doing more harm to her than even if she's able to sort of successfully rebel against her parents. Maybe if she really needs to rebel, it's a different deal. So this is the kind of a barrier. What is it that the person is holding back? So even things like procrastination, these are all. This won't be a bad. I mean, honestly, we all procrastinate, but what is the reason behind that procrastination? What is it that sort of keeps you from doing it? It's like I think this could probably be something for any addiction, also for that matter. If somebody has a TV addiction or a phone addiction, any addiction for that matter, there's something that sort of holds you back, which is so big that very often we don't see it. This is what I'm trying to like for instance, the fear of failure. So another one that I came across was, every time when I try to lose weight, for a month I lose weight, and then when I stop, uh, not only the weight that I lost that comes back, but even more comes back. So now this person doesn't want to try again at all, because she's like, what if I fail? And then like I will probably, instead of losing 5 kilos, I'll probably gain 8 kilos. So I might as well not give up. I might as well not do. So these are the things that I'm looking for. What are the different things that can come up?
Yeah, so sometimes people in different culture think like lose weight or you will not get married. So for me to be rebellious, like I can be rebellious sometimes towards that thought, like societal norms, or you can say uh, I can't term it properly, but like I don't. I would preferably react like I don't want to lose weight just to get married. Like my main purpose for losing weight would be getting fit.
Yeah, and by the way, I can. Lakshmi wants to say something, I guess. Yeah.
So, I mean, my answer to this is like without expectation, if you just consistently, that is, without setting a goal about losing weight, if you just consistently every single day, if you do it, I think it is possible, because that's what I've been doing. Like I don't set any goals. I just, every single day, like I hit, we have a cold weather here, but still that gives me a laziness to do the work.
No, but this is still the solution though. But we are still actually trying to find out the barriers. What could be the possible barriers? Okay, so actually, I do remember some
I
of
think
them.
negative self-talk will definitely be a barrier.
Although that is still a bit general, like specific thoughts. So I'll actually lay down some of them. So in fact, coincidentally, yesterday we were shooting a video with one of our counselors, Abhya, and she had heard of an example. In fact, she has mentioned that in the upcoming video also. So this girl was trying to lose fats, and what stopped her was like it's almost like she felt now comfortable in her own skin, like her identity has been like that throughout. Then just losing weight actually felt uncomfortable, because it's like those layers of fat are giving her some security, like something like that. Okay, another mental barrier was that because her mother was also fat, she kind of wanted to stay there, because then she felt the similarity with her own mother, right? Because now it's like something that they shared. So this could stop. And there is one more I heard from one of my clients. Her mental barrier was that whenever I start to lose weight, then I start to look slightly better, and I start getting comments from men, right? It's such a sad thing to happen, but then she's like, you know what, that's why, and I don't want that attention. I don't want that attention at all. And that's why I just stay like this, because the moment I lose weight, I just start to get more attention. To avoid that attention, she would actually not lose weight. So that's also another barrier. So actually, the value of this question is not exactly in the solution. Of course, solution has to be there, but the main value of this question is in the awareness. What is stopping me? Okay, I did not even know what is keeping me. So because once you know what's stopping you, then you can deal with it much better. Then you can, you be like, okay, you know what, I'm not going to let this determine what I do, right? So that awareness is super important. So yeah, thanks for the question, Monisha.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, I'll go to Shilvi. Yeah.
Hi. So I have basically two questions.
Yeah.
So one is, how do you deal with low self-esteem? Like, I was not experiencing the same when I was a teenage. And due to that, at some point of time, I have started self-doubting myself.
Okay, and self-doubting in any particular area?
So like for an example, like I was working I was laid off on September 2020. So I was working from past 2 years. So I don't know the reason, but I was like, I've started overthinking, like it was due to knowing the reason as well, like due to COVID, many people were laid off. But I've started self-doubting, like was I not worth to do that job, so I was laid off, or there was some other reason that I was laid off, or did I do something wrong, or do I need some improvement, and stuff like that.
All right. Okay, so the summary of the question would be, of course, this was triggered from that incident when you were laid off. And now the questions are about, like, was I really good at my job? And that did I do something wrong? Even if you know the reason, which was COVID, but still there's this doubt that was that the only reason or the real reason? And ultimately, it's leading to lower self-confidence and just self-doubt. Yeah. So, okay, I am again going to go off, and people, if you have some perspectives here, please share on the chat and or come online and say them. Okay.
So low self-esteem and self-doubting in work area, right, Shilvi?
Yes. No. Okay. Yeah.
Majorly that.
Yeah.
Okay. So anybody who would want to speak up, you can let me know in chat. Okay. Monisha, okay. Fake it till you make it and practice. Practice what? Does anyone have any answer, any relatable experience? Shall we can benefit from?
This is the time to show your wisdom, guys.
To the whole world.
Yeah, how wise you are.
Okay. Ignore the naysayers. Believe in doing it in your own way. Analyze your weakness. Once you get over it, it should be fine. Positive self-talk. Okay. SWOT analysis. Okay. So work on yourself as much as you can. Has anybody faced similar situation in their life ever? Such rejection? Many times, yes. How did you deal with it? Shilvi, do you think these answers are helping you?
So what if you can't do SWOT analysis on yourself, like?
Because you're doubting.
Yeah.
Anish said we need to accept and move on and get a job or make note of, Saguna said get a job or make note of your past achievements and failure where you felt same, but you overcame it. Yeah. These are some good ideas actually. So I'll of course say it in a few in some detail. So I want you to have this, really question how you think of yourself, right? How you analyze yourself. And once you understand that, well, in future, it becomes really, really easier for you in all difficult situations. So first, the answer is wherever you are in life, let's say when you're self-doubting, right? When you're going, okay, why me? Okay, what's happening with me? Am I good enough or not? Let's look at the worst case scenario. Okay, let's say you're not good enough for the job. Okay, let's say you weren't even skilled enough and you're thinking, okay, other people, and I'm talking about the worst interpretation right now intentionally, which is, yeah, I mean, I got kicked out. Other people, not everybody was kicked out, right? So I was kicked out, and that's why, of course, I'm going to feel bad. Yeah, because if it was just the COVID, then why not others? Why me? Right? That's a natural question, because when the mind goes into self-doubt, that's the thing those kind of things come to mind. So first thing is, please remember, okay, now let's look at the other side. Who you are today. Tell me at least 3 to 4 skills that you have. Okay, tell me skills or strengths that you have. Yeah.
Good argumentation skills.
Mm-hmm.
I can analyze, I mean, good interpretation skills, I would say.
Good interpretation. Okay.
And so you see, the problem is here as well. I can't think of my advantage, like strong points.
Yeah, and so let me tell you some of the small points. By the way, when you mentioned good argumentation, I thought your parents would say it differently. Okay, that's not a strength. They'll say, okay, that's
yeah. So
the parents will say, okay, we are so annoyed by our argumentation. But yeah, in reality, of course, it's a strength, no doubt. So many strengths that you don't even realize, right? The fact that you can read and write, it's a strength. Because why is it a strength? Think about this. Because everything that you can do in life, read, write, use a computer, talk here, right? And I mean, any subject that you have learned and understood, and whatever you did on the job, even if whether you work on the job or not, you know something about life, right? You are a functional being. You're not dying, right? The fact that you're living and functioning and getting up every day and going through life in itself means that there has to be so many skills, so many values, and so many good things that you have accumulated for you to be able to go through life. Okay, so that's one thing. Now the idea is, wherever you are in life, whether you become the best performer in the company or whether you get laid off, one thing is true, that you will always be a mix of some strengths and weaknesses. Meaning, or we can use the other term, things that you can do versus things that you can't do, right? Because strengths and weaknesses are again culturally defined. Because if 100 people are doing the same thing, then it's not a strength anymore. If you're the only one doing it, then it's a strength. But let's look at it in the terms of there are a lot of problems that you can solve in life, some problems you can't solve in life. So it will always be some deficit and some real gains. So the first step will always be to completely accept yourself in that position, right? Which is key. I will always have problems. I will always have deficits. It's impossible that you will never have them. Okay. So now the company, whether they keep you or they lay you off, it should not matter much, because of course it matters. I'll tell you how it matters, but deep down, your real analysis must be, who am I really? Okay, what is it all can I really achieve? So, or really handle? That's your first stock. Okay, and because your same set of skills can actually flourish in some other company, and then in some other circumstance, it cannot work at all. So that's why you cannot let just one company laying you off, let's say, first of all, completely define how you feel about yourself. That's one thing. That is just one data point. The company laying you off is one data point among many for when you analyze yourself. So the idea is to start with accepting yourself. Wherever I am, of course, there's going to be difficulties, and of course, there are going to be some privileges. Okay, and your job in life, if you want to live a better life, your job is to always just keep improving that repertoire, keep improving those skill sets, right? Or just keep learning new things. So main thing is, analyzing yourself is actually a useless activity if you think about this, because there is no number. You will never get any objective analysis. So if I start to ask myself this question, am I good enough or not? Now, what's the answer? Am I really a strong human or not? What's the answer, right? There are no answers, because you will never have an objective analysis of that. So when you're trying to think, what's wrong with me? Can I do it or not? When you ask yourself these questions, these are just bad questions, first of all, because there are no good answers to such questions. The better questions are, what are the problems that I have in my life right now, and how do I solve them? So let's say your next problem in life would be, how do I get another job? And then the next problem would be, how do I make sure that I do better at that job, right? Now, these are real problems to be solved. For these problems, there are answers, good answers. Let's say, because for the next job, let's say they say you have to have such and such experience, you have to have done such and such course, so you can do those things, or you have to learn such and such skills, you can learn those skills, right? And then once you're at the job, then how do you sustain that job? Now that's a problem to be solved. How do you do that? Then there are other skills, which is, I'm going to take more feedback from my boss this time, right? I'm going to more stay in touch with my team lead, okay? Or let's say I'm going to be more, I'm going to prioritize my time better, right? I'm going to do things. So for every problem that you ask yourself, okay, what is the solution? You can find good answers. But if you want to assess yourself, okay, am I good enough or not? That's just a bad question. So try to do what's useful. And in this case, what's useful is asking yourself those questions. Okay, what do I need to do next? How do I solve the next problem? And if you think about this, everything in your life, if you want to move from point A to point B, it's a problem to be solved, right? And there are solutions for it. So train your mind to think like that. What is the next problem that I have to solve? And let me just solve that. And I don't even have to question myself, because whenever you ask that question, you can spend one day thinking about weakness and then you feel terrible. And then you can spend another day thinking about your strengths and then you're feeling elated. And what's the right answer? It's just about what are you focusing on in the moment, right? So if I spend 20 minutes with you right now, just asking more and more questions about your strengths, 20 minutes later, you'll go home feeling really happy. Oh, you know what? I'm actually strong. And then by the end of the night, you start thinking about the weaknesses again, and then you're again depressed, right? So this is why let's think more in the functional manner. Okay. And once you start doing that, life actually becomes easier, because now you don't have to compare yourself to anybody. You don't have to compare yourself at all. You just have to do, what do I need to do next? And that ultimately not only relieves your mind, that actually puts you into some action, which ultimately improves your life. Okay. So this is the overall view. So technically, loss of confidence does come from failures, and that's understandable, because let's say if you fail at three things, let's say if you get kicked out from three jobs, then of course your confidence of keeping that job is going to go down. So whenever you think about those things and that you're feeling confident, try to make it very, very specific, instead of generalizing to you, Shilpi, as a whole. Am I a capable person or not, versus can I do this particular task or not? Let's say if you cook a dish and you fail three times, that only means that you're a bad cook. You're not a bad person. You're not a, understand that? So trying to isolate the part. I'm probably just bad at this one thing, not that I'm an incapable person. So stop yourself from generalizing also.
Okay.
Okay. All
So,
right.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
So it's from an child's perspective, like to a parent, how to deal with a parent.
Actually, you know what? Because today's session is going to be slightly shorter, why don't you write the question? And if I take three more questions, and I'll take it at the end, because there are a few more hands raised.
No worries.
Okay. Or I think I'm going to do this more often now, open counseling session, because I'm really enjoying these myself also. And so yeah. Okay. And thank you, Shilpi, for the question. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next, I'll go to Nalini.
Yeah, actually, I have a question regarding my son. He's 12 years old. The issue is he's getting so distracted, and especially with the online classes. During his online courses going on, he used to watch something else, even when the camera is on, because he can read the captions and watch anything. He accepted that because I speak to him quite often, and that's what he says. And so one day, but he's trying to stay focused. So I give him some tips and things like that to do, but he's not able to still stay focused. So one day he asked me, "Can you remove YouTube from my laptop?" So I installed some site blocker, and also he's not able to see YouTube, but he's doing other things. So getting into the website and watching something else. So he wants to, but he wants to focus, but he's not able to. He accepts that he doesn't like being distracted, and also he doesn't know how to do it. I told him you have to take effort, because he knows that he should not be doing it, and he likes being distracted. That is meaning he wants to watch whatever he's watching or do whatever he's doing, like play games or anything like that. So he enjoys doing that, so he's not able to stop. That's what he's telling me. So how can I
I'll summarize the question. The question is that the child has the intention to stop the distractions, especially the online ones, but it's so entertaining for him that he's unable to, right? So he has the intention, but he cannot just stop. Actually, we have many parents here. So let's see what parents have to say. Please, parents, help another parent out. I'm going to go off for a couple of minutes. So write your suggestions in the chat. What should Nalini do there? Yeah.
Setting time limit, sitting with him. Monisha, since you're a teacher, I would really want you to say something about it. And I would ask you to unmute a teacher's perspective. A lot of parents are listening.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm in the spotlight now. So that will be an interesting question. I'm a teacher and a parent myself. I have a daughter who's in class 10. So I've been on kind of both the sides. To be very honest, kids have always been distracted, They are either lost, they're looking here and there, they're looking outside the window. So when this is like a proper classroom setup, or whoever is walking in the corridor, so kids have always been distracted. So it's just that now it's becoming more obvious, is because they have that device in front of it and we can actually see it. So yes, the percentages of for them to get distracted is higher at home than it was in school, but it's a pretty normal thing, as long as I would say, if there hasn't been a huge drop in the marks, or a different change in the personality of the child, don't overthink it. And if you're really looking for a solution, what I do once in a while, if I have my lesson going on, I'll just quietly go and sit in the room where my daughter is taking a class. And to be honest, she's a very sincere child, and even though I'm saying she's a very sincere child and she does well in her studies, but I would say a lot of times I've seen her chatting, I've seen her watching videos, I've seen her doing something else. I also keep a track on her phone. There's an app called as Family Link, so that basically tells you how much time the child has spent on the phone. So I know most of her classes are through Google Classroom. So if I see, in the morning she spent 1 hour in Google Classroom and she spent 2 hours in YouTube. So I just have to show it to her and she knows. So that's enough for her to know that I am keeping a check. But if, to be very honest, if there hasn't been much of a difference in the marks, or the overall understanding in your son, I think we can be probably a little easy on the students and the kids. This is a difficult time for them as well, from being out in the open with kids. Having that physical difference has really impacted the kids. So my personal take is, uh, I try to sort of close my eyes. I know that this is an issue, but then if it's not alarming, I think once in a while it's fine. So she knows that I do drop in, and I probably just, she's taking her class and I probably just sit or lie down on the bed. So she knows that I'm there, so she will be sincere and she knows I can sort of appear anytime. So once in a while, yes, you can probably keep a check, but yeah, that's all. So this is like a same teachers and a parents perspective. As a teacher, I insist that students switch on their videos. So it's really, deja vu when she just starts the thing and says, can we have everybody coming up online? So yeah, I face that as well. I try and bribe my students and tell them, I'll give an extra percentage in terms of attending the class with their videos on. Some of them do, some of them don't. My child, she herself doesn't switch on her video, but that's probably because she's on a little shyer side. But I guess, yeah, if it's no major issue, then I think, yeah, it's just a matter of maybe another year. I think things will settle down.
So the issue is like he has been a daydreamer, like even before 2 years back, also even before this lockdown and everything started. So even during offline classes, he used to dream of something, and sometimes he doesn't know what homework was given, because in his old school they don't recommend having a diary or anything to write on the homework. So the kid has to remember everything. So few times, not once in a while, like he doesn't finish his homework because he does not listen fully in the class. So it has happened like that. And even now, like even I recommend him to set the timer, even if he wants to play a little. The thing is, he'll turn off the timer and continue doing whatever he was doing, because he cannot stop that in the middle. And once or twice he has missed his classes and he was marked absent during the online class.
So if for Nalini, for timer, if you're talking about, you can use this app Family Link. You can actually put, so if it's a like YouTube, so I've put a timer after 2 hours, it will automatically stop. So even if you're in the middle of a thing, it simply
even
stops.
in the laptop.
I don't know. I haven't tried it on the laptop,
Yeah,
but I can tell you.
I know Android it works. I know about that, but laptop, he's using a laptop, so
Okay, no,
yeah,
I'm not
I
sure
tried
about
many
that.
options to install. As a site blocker was one thing, but I don't know how many sites can I go and block. Like that's what that is something. And there was another ultra something, I forgot the name
Well,
of the app.
I can tell you one thing. I read the news today or maybe yesterday. Zoom is actually coming up with something where kids will have to focus on one screen only. So Zoom is
That
coming
will
out with
be
it.
great because, but Google Classroom, they have the Google Classroom, the class is going on, but he can watch anything. Even though his camera is on, he can watch anything with the
Yeah.
captions on. So the class will be going on, but he can still watch something else reading the captions. So that happens sometimes because I don't score him nowadays, so that at least I'll come to know what he's doing and he'll at least share with me. So I don't yell at him or scold. I'll just ask, but I'm trying to find a solution because he's willing to work on it. The only thing is I don't know. He's not working hard to put an effort. He's just 12, so I don't blame him too. So,
All right. I have, to be honest here, I really don't know any technological solutions yet because I don't think I have looked into that part exactly. But some ideas do come to mind. For example, but again, these are high cost ideas, which is there are ways to actually have a shared screen also, right? So it's like if you have another laptop, you can simply share the child screen with yourself. And if you do that, you just know what's going on in their laptop, right? So, and here in this case, see, what I really meant to say was the best news for you, Nalini, is that your child has the insight. The child already agrees with the problem and he wants to work on it. That's like one of the biggest strengths. So many parents here would be jealous of that because they're still fighting, trying to convince the child that this is a problem. So your child already understands that. And that's why any solution that you come in could help. So here, your journey is actually, what Monisha said is actually very right, which is when your child is already like that, who understand the problem, it's like as a parent, your worry should go away because it shows a trait of responsibility in the child. They understand what's problematic. And in the long run, what will actually keep your child good on track would be this trait that they know what's going wrong and they have to fix it. So that way, as a parent, you must feel a little bit relieved that your child is actually better off than many who don't even realize that this is a problem. And now to actually solve it, like I said, you can continue the research. One thing, of course, can help would be a little extra supervision because your child is allowing it, which is dropping in multiple times, and of course discussing it with the child in advance that I will be dropping in at such and such points, like 4 or 5 times a day, if that's possible, and I'll check in on you. And he'll actually probably say, you know what, yes, that's fine. Sometimes another solution, practical environmental solution can help would be if you can make sure that he studies or does his work in an area where he doesn't close himself off. So let's say if his screen is visible, and let's say if you walk past the room, and if you can see the screen in some way, so then that itself can help. So what we are looking for more like are more environmental solutions, right, or technological solutions. So keep looking for those, and inside, don't feel too worried. It's not that big of a problem. It's the most common one also. So your kid in the long run will actually be fine. Okay. And yeah, maybe you can try the shared screen thing. Let's see how that works, right? It's just one thing to try. Again, I have no idea because this is literally the first time I'm suggesting it to somebody. It might work. If it does well, please let me know again. Then I can suggest it to other parents too. So, yeah. Now I'll just take the last question. This is from, okay, I'm going to go to Vishwajit. Vishwajit, you'll have to come online.
Hi, sir. This is actually I'm Vishwajit mother. Actually, that ID was created in my son's name actually.
Okay.
And I had a question regarding my son. Actually, we stay in a joint family. It's nice to meet you. First of all, it's very nice to meet you. I have heard all about your speeches, so I'm very glad to your speeches, first of all. And that's what, sir, I have the question regarding my son's development. Actually, we stay in a joint family, sir. We 18 of them are staying together, and he's yeah, presently 18 of them are staying together, and it's all my brothers, it's all my husband's brothers, and their father in their grandfathers. So all are staying together. My husband's grandfather, his father-in-law. So everybody are staying together. So totally we are staying 18 of them in a family. But now I have been just my brain is scratching that these many days I don't know how to raise a son in this joint family, and my son has become very pampered child in the family. and he's the only grandson in this family. For all the 18 of the elders one, he's the youngest one in my family. And that's what, sir, I don't know. I'm totally confused that how to raise him in this situation. And he's too much attached to everybody. And regarding his studies also, he's a bit backward, I think, because of he's pampered. And if I call him to read also, he is not showing any interest in reading. So I don't know how about his future, sir. If it is continued like this, can you please suggest me any suggestions for this?
So your main concern is pampering?
Pampering one thing, uh, and psychologically also, he's too much like as showing the angerness with everybody. If he's not willing to, if he's not willing to the subject, he shows any angerness with the with, I mean, first of all, he's very angered to me. I don't know why, because the subordinates will support him if he does any mistakes. So all these things are the part B problems I'm facing with this child, sir.
By the way, Monisha has written, wow, 18, hats off to you.
It's very difficult actually these many days. Generation will not stay, but still I have to be over here. It's like I don't have any choice to go somewhere else. So that is the reason.
Yeah, and
no
Vijender has written, you don't need to worry, they will raise him. That's actually, you know what? It's not even false. Actually, that's actually true, because one of the, and I made this video on joint family, and in that video I've mentioned that one of the good side, of course, joint family comes with it so many troubles, right? But one of the good things about joint family is children raising. For child rearing, actually, joint families are amazing, because children, they get their cousins, a lot of people around, and they get socialized better. So
actually, sir, I accept all your whatever you said with your answer, but the problem is the maturity will be as equal as the higher thinking, right? The child will get
I haven't even see. I'm just saying that there are just benefits. My real answer is something else, actually.
Right. Okay.
So the first, this is the larger view, right? Which is key in the long run, everything will come with its own pros and cons. Let's say if you were living in a nuclear family, then that comes with its own pros and cons. Living in a big joint family, he'll probably learn more about relationships than he will learn otherwise. And he'll also, again, in joint family, sometimes you learn to compromise way more than you would otherwise, because otherwise, and like you put up with others' behaviors better. So there are actually pros and cons for any kind of life. Okay, so that way, whenever you compare yourself to, let's say, any nuclear family or any other, you can see their benefits, but then there are benefits to this lifestyle too. So first, you must remember that part. Now, about specific problems, let's say the child shows anger. Now that can happen in nuclear family too. It's not like that doesn't happen there too. And of course, your difficulty is that the child gets support from other people, right? It's like if you do something, then other people can come in. Okay, you know what, mere bacche ko or isko, like don't scold him too much.
That's the thing happening all here. And he's too much pampered. First of all, if one kicks out, also the other will support him. And what the thing is, he doesn't show interest even in studies also. So this is what it's happening. I agree with that.
So those problems are, see, those problems, whether it's anger or studies problems, those are not related to family, joint family. Those are independent problem almost every parent has, right? The child is not studying properly, or the child is showing anger. Okay, it's just that how you deal with it becomes a bit different, right, in your house. So again, just like in your house, he gets support from other people. Again, there's a good and bad for that too. The good part is that the child feels more accepted and loved, right? Overall, you know what, I'm actually loved, I'm supported at all times. So but the bad part is, of course, sometimes it'll be hard to have tough conversations, it'll be hard to really teach them something. And for that,
and what will be happening, and what's happening is people will just like kya ho raha, like they are thinking that I am very rebel to them. In this way the situation will go, sir. Like they think that I am very rebel to them, so I am very opposite to them. So even the child also will think the same thing itself. So I am very opposite to them, so I am not allowing him to go go with them. So he keeps on chatting with, I mean, he keeps on like showing angerness regarding this part itself, and he has thought that I am the enemy to him. In this
And
sense,
see, and
situation
that
will
way,
develop.
and this is where you have to really start questioning yourself also as a parent, because the problem starts when you ask the child to do something or not to do something, right? When you say, you know what, don't do that or start doing that, like that's where the problem starts. So you have to really start questioning the things that you're worrying about. Are they really worth it, right? Things that, because so many times, mothers or fathers, anybody, they can have irrational fears also, irrational worries also, right? And so most of the things that your child is doing within the house, think about this, everybody else also cares about the child, and nobody's really gonna let the child be unhappy, unhealthy, or really go off the line, right? So pretty much think about this, your child will actually be fine. So many of your worries may actually be unfounded. So what you probably need to do is let go of a lot of issues and have the longer term view that in the long run the child will be fine. And for any specific issue, by the way, you have to learn specific skills. So for example, if you really want to have tough conversations with the child, let's say if you really want to teach them something, then you have to learn the skill of communication, which is how to sit down with the child, how to talk calmly, nicely. And trust me, if you learn your skills, if you learn how to communicate better, respect the child more, like I'm just giving some basics, right? Respect the child more, ask them questions, have honest, constructive conversations. Trust me, the child will never go to anybody else. The child is running to people because he's unable to, you're unable to get a headway with the child. You're unable to really actually strike good, deep conversations. So if, as a mother, if you really want to change him, first learn to have conversations where he actually enjoys talking to you. If he enjoys talking to you, that's your superpower. And then you can teach him whatever you want. And ultimately, you will have more influence than anybody else. Okay. Because ultimately, he'll come back to you. But if you just go to him and tell him, this is wrong, you just criticize him, you're constantly correcting him, then of course he's going to run from you. No child would want that environment because he would rather enjoy, watch TV, go out with somebody else. So first, start enjoying your company with your own child. Make it a positive experience for him to hang out with you. Okay. And then naturally he'll come back more to you. Okay.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I'll try to do my level best, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks for your suggestion.
Yeah. And yeah, so actually I have to close right now because I have another seminar, but I see some hands still raised, and I'll definitely, maybe again, the way this is going, I might actually do the same thing week after week. I'm just going to keep taking questions because I would like to address as many as I can. And this makes it very, very relevant also for all of you. So thank you all for coming. Videos can help you to some degree, but if your problems are really serious or painful, you should come for counseling. We now have a team of psychologists who can help you and your family live a much better life. Here are some feedbacks from our clients. If you wish to take counseling from us, go to our website page www.shridharlifeschool.com/counsel. Click on this link and fill this application form. We will get back to you soon. I would be doing these online meetings with you all regularly for some time. If you wish to attend these meetings live on Zoom, save the details. If you need reminders, we also send invitations to you personally on email and Telegram app. To get reminders, do the following.